Maybe this feels familiar. You gave her everything. Your time, your energy, your loyalty, even the parts of yourself you never gave anyone before. You were there when she needed you, you listened when no one else cared, and somehow that still wasn't enough. One day she just started to pull away. The text slowed down, her tone changed, and suddenly the woman who once lit up at your name became cold, distant, uninterested, and now you're sitting there wondering, how did we get here? How can someone go from saying you're the best thing that ever happened to me to acting like you never mattered? You replay the moments in your head. The late night talks, the way she used to look at you, the promises she made. You keep asking yourself, what did I do wrong? If this is you, if you're tired of being the man who gets taken for granted, you're not alone. Every good man eventually hits that point. The point where he realizes she didn't lose interest. She just stopped appreciating what she had. But here's what most men don't realize. There comes a moment, often too late, when she starts to feel the same emptiness she once left you with. A quiet moment when she looks back and finally understands what she walked away from. The only question is, will you still be there when that regret finally hits her? Most men get this part wrong when she starts pulling away, when her energy shifts and you feel her slipping. Your first instinct is to chase, to fix it, to prove your worth, because deep down, you think if she can see how much you care, she'll remember what you mean to her. But that's where the mistake begins. A woman doesn't regret losing the man who chased her. She regrets losing the man who stopped, the man who calmly withdrew his energy when it was no longer valued. See, masculine strength isn't about reacting emotionally to her distance. It's about holding your center when the situation tempts you to lose it. That's what most men never learn. When a woman starts taking you for granted, it's because she stopped feeling your value, not because it disappeared, but because you started trying to prove it. And every time you explain yourself, argue your worth, or plead for attention, you teach her one thing: that your peace depends on her approval. And the moment she senses that, attraction begins to die. The core masculine principle here is simple. You don't convince anyone of your worth, you remember it. The man who truly knows his value doesn't chase validation. He walks away from disrespect without anger, without drama, and without needing to be understood. That calm silence, that grounded indifference is what reawakens her awareness of what she lost. Because here's the truth most men never see until it's too late. Women start regretting when they realize they can't emotionally move you anymore, when they sense that you're not the same man waiting by the phone, but the one who rebuilt his peace, refocused his energy, and reclaimed his power. That's when the tables turn. Not when you try to make her see your worth, but when you quietly start living like you never lost it. It's late. The kind of late where the world feels still, no messages, no noise, just that soft hum of the fridge and the faint city lights bleeding through the blinds. He's sitting there, phone in hand, staring at her name on the screen. No new texts, not even the scene mark anymore. It's been days, maybe weeks, he's lost track. Time moves differently when you're waiting for someone who's not waiting for you. He exhales slowly, that heavy, quiet kind of sigh that carries the weight of everything he never said. The memories replay like an old film, her laughter spilling across the car, her hand brushing his arm when she talked, the way she used to look at him like he was her favorite person in the world. And then the shift, the moments got shorter, her tone got colder, and suddenly he was the one trying to keep the conversation alive while she was already halfway gone. He remembers the night he finally stopped texting first. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. Not at first. It was loud. It screamed through his chest. Every hour felt like a test of willpower. His mind kept whispering, just reach out once more. She'll come around, but something deeper inside, something calmer, stronger, whispered back, no, you've done enough. So he started doing what he hadn't done in months, focusing on himself, the gym, his work, long walks at night with music instead of messages. The world slowly started to feel less empty and more his again, and as the days passed, he noticed something shift inside him. He wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't waiting. He was free. And then that's when it happened. Her name lit up his screen again. Just a hey. No apology, no explanation. Just that quiet, uncertain hey. She was sitting in her own silence now, staring at old photos, scrolling through their messages, feeling the ghost of the man who once would have dropped everything for her. But this time, when she reached out, she felt the difference. The warmth she once took for granted wasn't waiting for her anymore. He didn't rush to reply. He didn't feel that same rush of excitement or ache of desperation. He just looked at the message, smiled faintly, and set the phone down because deep down he knew something she was just beginning to understand. She didn't lose him when she left. She lost him when he stopped trying to prove his worth. And in that silence, she finally felt what he had felt all along. The absence, the stillness, the realization that she had pushed away a man who was once all in, and that he wasn't coming back the same. That's how regret begins. Not in the moment she walks away, but in the moment she realizes he's finally okay without her. Most men grow up believing that if you love her enough, if you give her everything, if you stay loyal and consistent, she'll see your worth. That's the first false belief. Because in reality, love doesn't make someone value you. Self-respect does. See, the truth is women don't start regretting when you love them more. They start regretting when you stop needing them to validate your love. That's when they see the difference between a man who's trying to keep her and a man who's already found peace without her. Most guys think strength means never giving up on her, staying available, waiting patiently, showing her you care. But that's not strength. That's emotional dependence dressed up as loyalty. Real strength is when you can love someone deeply and still walk away when that love is no longer respected. That's the quiet power women feel after you're gone. And that's when regret begins. Here's a second false belief. You think she left because you weren't enough, but she didn't leave because you lacked something. She left because she stopped feeling your masculine presence. And maybe that's hard to hear, but it's also freeing because it means this was never about her choosing someone better. It was about you forgetting who you were while trying to keep her interested. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. That's the moment everything started to slip, when you stopped living for you, when you started walking on eggshells to keep her happy, dimming your light just to avoid another argument, when you began seeking her reassurance instead of leading with quiet confidence. That's when attraction died. But here's the good news. The moment you rebuild that connection with yourself, something shifts. You stop reacting to her silence. You stop chasing her attention. You start moving differently, grounded, focused, calm. And that's when she starts to feel something unfamiliar. The loss of your energy, the emotional pull she once took for granted suddenly becomes noticeable again. Because now it's gone. That's when regret creeps in. Not because she suddenly woke up and became a different person, but because your absence started, speaking louder than your words ever did. She won't regret losing you because you begged for her back. She'll regret it when your peace becomes louder than your pain. And the crazy thing? It's not about making her regret it. That's not the mission. The mission is to remember who you were before you lost yourself in trying to keep someone else, to rebuild the man who had direction, purpose, and self-respect, the man who didn't need approval to feel valuable. When you live from that space, when your silence carries confidence, not bitterness, everything changes. She starts to see what she threw away. You start to see what you almost lost within yourself. And that's the awakening moment. The point where you stop trying to make her understand your worth because you finally started living like you never lost it. Most men, when they feel a woman slipping away, start scrambling, calling more, texting more, trying harder. They think effort equals love. They think consistency will bring her back. But the 3% man, he moves differently. This is what he understands. Connection is not built through chasing. It's built through presence. The 3% man knows that his energy, his attention, his calm, those are his currency. He gives them intentionally, not emotionally. When she starts to pull away, he doesn't collapse into fear. He doesn't start questioning his worth. He stays grounded because his sense of value doesn't live in her response. Most men panic when they feel that space growing. They start thinking, what did I do wrong? How do I fix this? The 3% man doesn't go there. He doesn't assume something's broken. He understands that attraction flows in waves. And the moment you start trying to control it, you kill it. This is how he leads, with presence, not pressure. He's not cold, he's composed, he listens more than he explains. He doesn't beg for her attention because he's already full within himself. When he gives his time, it's a choice, not a plea. When he walks away, it's not punishment, it's self-respect. And that energy, that quiet self-assurance, that's what makes her feel the loss before he even leaves. This is what most men miss. She doesn't fall for him because he tries to impress her. She falls because she feels safe in his energy, safe to admire him, to respect him, to trust that he won't lose himself no matter what she does. And that's the mindset shift. He doesn't view her as the prize. He views himself as the man who creates value, who leads his life with purpose and peace. He's not trying to win her back. He's staying loyal to his standards. The 3% man understands that love can only grow where respect lives, and respect comes from boundaries, not begging. This is what he understands about women. They don't start regretting when you leave. They start regretting when you rise, when you show that your life moves forward with or without them, when they see that you didn't crumble, you evolved. The 3% man knows that emotional control is not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally anchored. He feels deeply, but he doesn't let feelings dictate his direction. He lets them teach him, not rule him. That's why when things fall apart, he doesn't chase the past, he becomes better in the present. He understands that a man's peace is louder than any apology, that silence can communicate more than 1,000 texts, and that the real power isn't in making her regret losing him, it's in becoming the kind of man she could never replace. The 3% man leads himself first. He protects his energy, guards his focus, and moves from purpose, not from pain. He's not performing, he's being, and that's why she remembers him long after he's gone. Because when a man leads with presence, not pressure, when he holds his ground with quiet certainty, he stops chasing love, and love starts finding him. It always starts the same way, quiet. The kind of quiet that used to feel unbearable. The kind that once made you reach for your phone, scroll through her name, and wonder if maybe she was thinking about you too. But tonight, it's different. You're still sitting in that same silence, except this time it doesn't ache the same. It feels honest, still, like something inside you finally stopped fighting what was never yours to control. There's this moment, and you'll know it when it hits. When you stop asking why she left and you start asking why you stayed so long after you stopped feeling seen. You remember all the times you made excuses for her distance, all the ways you dimmed your voice just to keep the peace. You remember the man you were before you began walking on emotional eggshells, confident, light-free. Somewhere along the way, you forgot that version of yourself. You started chasing love instead of embodying it. But now something inside you is waking up. It's not loud or angry. It's gentle, like the sound of steady breathing after a storm. You can feel it, that quiet realization that you were never waiting for her to come back. You were waiting for you. You look around and see the space she left. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like emptiness. It feels like room. Room for peace, room for clarity, room for a version of you that doesn't need to be chosen to feel enough. The truth hits like a slow sunrise. Not dramatic, just undeniable. You realize she never took you for granted because you weren't worthy. She did because you stopped treating yourself like you were. You kept giving love as if it was proof of value when all along the value was you. And that's the turning point. That quiet, powerful shift when the story changes. When you stop checking your phone, stop rehearsing what you'd say if she reached out. When you finally stop performing for someone else's attention and start living from your own presence again. You start walking a little taller. You start sleeping deeper. You begin enjoying your own company. Not as a distraction, but as a homecoming. You stop replaying her absence and start remembering your strength. You realize that healing isn't about getting her back, it's about getting yourself back. And maybe somewhere out there she'll feel it too, that shift in your energy, that calm detachment, that quiet power. Maybe that's when her regret will begin. But by then you'll be past the point of wanting it, because you'll understand something most men never do. Peace feels better than being understood, and in that silence, the same silence that once tore you apart, you finally feel whole again. There comes a moment when you stop hoping she'll see your worth and start walking in a way that makes her absence irrelevant, because you finally remember you were never the one who was lost.